Welcome to the Rebel Walk Recruiting Show with Leanne Herring. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, coming to you live from the Palatial Central Florida studios. Big week for Ole Miss, several commits jumping in the boat. I'm here with Leanne. She's going to tell us all about it. How you doing, Leanne?
Doing good. What a week it was for the Lane Train and Ole Miss football. What seemed to be kind of a sleeper, with the class of 2022, we haven't really heard about anything. Well, this week, even in a dead period, the Rebels came out big, not just on some strong offensive commits, but on some huge defensive commits just in the last 24 hours, starting with the big man out of Germantown in Madison, Mississippi, Xavier Harris. Last night we all were waiting for that one. Everybody, a lot of crystal ball predictions had him going down to Starkville, playing for the Dogs. Well, it wouldn't be the summer in the SIP without a flip, and we definitely got that late last night with the commitment of Xavier Harris and a big boost, not just to our class of 2022 commits, but more importantly, the defense. And we all know that the defense has been something that the Ole Miss Rebels have been looking to really elevate to the next level, especially to compete in the SEC.
Yeah, he's kind of a two-trick pony, for lack of a better term. He either makes his plays by just leaning on people because he's so massive, or his agility is so like a small guy making plays. But once those two come together and some finesse gets brought in, mixed in with his power, Randall Joyner, Marquise Watson might have themselves a dude.
Exactly, and I think for a long time you talked about it. You hit the nail on the head right there. He may just have two moves, but again, he's a player that we can develop and we can work with. And his towering size is one that is really great for the line because match him with our other commit from 2021, Tyrone Miller, and you have some extreme size on that defense. And I think for a long time, Ole Miss has not had two towers like that beyond that defensive line, and that's not going to just create a lot of chaos for its opposing offensive line, but, for that backfield, matching on those wide receivers and all that kind of stuff. Because, with a commit of like Xavier Harris, he's going to, like you said, his presence alone is something that's going to turn offenses to think. You're going to see a lot of three deep offenses go two and one real quick, and he's going to keep a lot of that backfield, off the middle real quick, just at his size. And like you said, he may be a two-move guy, but he's one that, like you said, when Joyner and Watson and Partridge all get together and really start developing, work on his arm work, and really start finessing him, he's going to be an elite lineman on that defensive front. And like I said, pair him with a guy like Tyrone Malone, and you're talking about some serious production on that defensive line and size that we have been lacking for a very long time.
Yeah, when you add in Talik Robbins and Isaiah Iton and Jamon Gordon, this rebuilt defensive line is going to look completely different next year.
Exactly. And what I like about this defensive line, they're all different types of players with diverse skill sets, but they're young and they're fiery and like I said, you get a lot of players, especially on the defensive side of ball, they just want to be recruited as a one position guy. They want to either play at safety, they only want to be on the line and everything. But if you look at the kind of talent from where we picked it out that they picked out, it's very diverse with this versatility skill set that may need a little bit development. But like you said, once we tweak it, once the coaches tweak in development, we have a very different look on this defensive line and this defensive front that we haven't seen, that's going to be very competitive in the SEC West, I believe, in the future, with a lot of young talent that we can build on. And like I said, we're just getting started with the 2021 and 2022 class. We haven't even seen the 2023 class, which I imagine some of the names that we'll be talking about, over the next couple of weeks. There's going to be some 4- and 5-star kids from all over that are interested in contributing early on to this defensive front.
All right, we'll move on from Xavier real quick. I know his first name. I don't want to butcher his last name. His first name's Davison. He's a cornerback out of New Jersey. Really great player. Nice ball skills. He's a one-on-one winner. Tell me a little bit about him.
He's the number 48 CB and number 9 overall player in New Jersey. He's got a diverse set of offers from the Ivy League to the SEC. What I like about this kid, especially when it comes into recruiting, if you want to get that checkmate, especially on the defense, it's not always with the biggest elite players. It's how you go about it. And I think that this kid, Davison, is going to be one of those players. It's going to be another key piece on that defensive backfield that's going to come up big if we can get him to commit. He's set to commit tomorrow, and he has Ole Miss and Rutgers, which is no surprise, as his top two. And Rutgers, not only because it's the hometown university, it's a hometown team, he's a New Jersey kid, but more importantly, he's got strong ties there because his brother Desmond is was also signed to the 2021 DB class. But Coach Partridge, Coach, Watson, and all that again, that New Jersey pipeline, that East Coast pipeline has been open strong, and it's really been beneficial to the Rebels, especially on the defensive side. So I think we have a strong showing after Davison came and had an unofficial visit his camp with us. Really saw what it's about, and like I said, he's going to be another versatile player, another young kid who I like to call a jack of all trades player that we can build and develop upon. And he's another kid that he may have athlete by his name, but he really knows how to play within his skill set. And he's gonna evolve, and he's going to adapt, and that's what I like about him. And at the CB position, he could potentially dub as a safety, which I like. When it comes to defense, when it comes to things, it's about creating depth and keeping fresh. And when you have a kid like Davison, who primarily runs as a back, that can be in safety, but he also has this Dexter McCluster speed, even though he's not a running back. That's something you can work with, and that's big for the backfield. It opens up a lot of opportunities, but again, it keeps our defensive fresh and strong to be able to go head-to-head with a lot of that spread offense, a lot of those explosive offenses that we're going to be seeing in the SEC West.
On the other shows that I do, I've talked about several times, our defense is about explosive plays, turnovers, lost yardage plays. And you can actually see with Xavier Harris and Davison, these one-on-one winners. One guy is supposed to speed up the clock of the quarterback, and then whenever they force the ball, the DBs win one-on-ones. You saw in the spring game, Tysheem Johnson. I mentioned that name on purpose. I see a little bit of Tysheem Johnson in his game.
Exactly. And what I also liked about this kid, even though he may not be a name that we know down in these circles, again, it's about getting the fit. And Davison's another great fit because he's got this internal guided radar that it takes to be an elite cornerback. You can be a great cornerback, but that internal field awareness that he has, that radar that I call it, that can calculate angles and the coverage, and it's really spot on, and it really allows him to be able to take guys off routes. And that's another thing that I saw about Davison that I like. Yes, I know it's about, making blocks and making stops, but what I like that's a strong suit about him that you don't see very often that he can do well is he can take a guy off his route. He can create a little chaos. And when you can take an offense off their routes, their key guys and their wide receivers, if you can get them in a little chaos really quickly, that is not just great for your defense, but it puts your offense in a great position when they get back in the field, when your defense can shake up their offense and the quarterback of your opposing team. And that's what I like about this kid. Like I said, his great field awareness, he's got that internal guided radar, and he's got some great speed on him. Like I said, he's got a speed of a running back, even though he could potentially be a CB, evolve into a safety. And again, he's another player I like because he's young, we can build on and we can develop on him. And I think that's going to be key on our defensive front because we're in a rebuilding stage. We need to get those types of players that have those strong individual things, but like you said, they can win the one-on-one and they have size and not just speed, but they also are not afraid to go head-to-head in the trenches. And I think that's another thing that our defense, a kid like Xavier Harris and even Davison, is they're not afraid to go and get it done in the trenches. And that's going to be key because a lot of key games are won in those trenches, especially on the defensive end when it gets down to it.
This year will be the first year that we've had the same defensive coordinator for 2 years since 2017 and 2018.
Exactly. And I think that that's something that has been key and is the key. They say consistency is key. And I really think that having Partridge there and having, the young staff and the diverse staff that has opened up pipelines into major recruiting areas that we necessarily haven't tapped into in a long time has proven to be the saving grace for this football team. And I think it's going to continue. Like I said, a lot of our Rebel fans, have kind of been, under the wire saying what's going on with this 2022 class because maybe we haven't had as much hype as our counterparts over there in Tuscaloosa, down in Athens, or even in Starkville. But like I say, you don't always have to have all the hype to know what's going on, that there's stuff going on behind doors. And we saw it exactly from this week, during the dead period, everybody was committing before it, the 4 and 5 star, everybody was rushing to commit before dead period. And, we didn't have a commit, but then here comes the week of dead period. It was right on time. We had, key key pieces to the puzzle, not just on offense, but on defense. And we won big this week. And like I said, it's just getting started.
Yeah, and let's move in from one Chris Partridge territory into another, into the state of Georgia, and Jaron Willis from Lee County. If people are curious about Lee County, that's where Otis Reese is from. That's where Mark Robinson's from. What are you hearing about this kid?
Well, this is someone that with the defense, the Rebels are still going hard recruiting. He has been a Georgia Tech commit since May 1st, but Florida State, he talks about Florida State. He's taken a couple visits as well there. The last time he stepped foot in Oxford was April 18th when he came down there, for an unofficial. But this is a kid that they're very strong on still because of his talent. He's the number 15 linebacker in 2022. Like I said, he's been a Georgia Tech commit, but we've seen, if this season hasn't told you anything, until it's signed in stone, even hard commits, can easily change their mind. I think this is why they're staying really strong on him because of his elite talent. He's predominant, like I said, he's been predominantly recruited as safety, but linebacker, safety. So it'll be interesting to see if we do land him, if we can at least get his attention again, where he'll be. But the thing about this kid, like I said, he's got great redirection skills. He's extremely speedy. He can keep. What I like about him is he's got that speed, and he wins the one-on-ones, but he can keep up with tight ends, the speed of a running back and slot receivers. And once again, it goes back into making those plays. You got a strong defensive front to stop, but then you got a kid like Jaron Willis in that backfield with that speed, who's a great coverage guy. And like I said, he's going to be one of those kids that you can develop, but whether he be at safety, whether he remains at a linebacker, but he's just a trailblazer, and he could potentially be a good hybrid rover. But like I said, this is someone that's committed to Georgia Tech. He's, like I said, he's still gone to visit, but they're still really, working hard on maybe seeing, enticing him back maybe during the fall and see if we could possibly have a swing here and get another flip. And this, like I said, this would be huge. And there's still those Lee County ties, like you mentioned, with two Ole Miss players we have in Otis Reese and Mark Robinson. But, linebacker, getting somebody at the linebacker and safety position is another key role. Just like we have to have that strong defensive front, we have to have those guys that can make those plays and make those stops. And, Jared Willis is one of those kids that would really, like I said, 4-star kid, 4-star on the field with his talent. And it really translates. Like I said, that could be another key component if we can swing that in Jared Willis.
Yeah. Anybody else at the linebacker position we need to keep an eye on?
Another one, again, it goes back, and now we're talking about that New Jersey pipeline going back to the East Coast, those East Coast beats. Abdul Carter out of LaSalle College in PA. He's the number 34 linebacker and the number 10 player in PA in 2022. He doesn't have a long list of offers, but, he's another kid that when you see him, he looks great on film, but when you see him in person, wow, he really does do something. And, he's great on the rush. He can stop the run, and he just gets off on his assignment super quick. And he's the only official that he's made right now is to South Carolina, and he came over to visit us around, I think it was June 22nd or so. So he's fresh off a visit on the SIP, not too far off. But like I said, he's just another straight playmaker. He's a beast. I mean, he can do everything. He's another versatile player. Like I said, I think it's been kind of a consistent thing that we're talking about, a kid like Abdul Carter, he's 6'4", 235. Jaron Willis, another linebacker we were talking about, 6'2", 220. If we haven't seen the trend, these are big guys who are fast, size and speed. And I think that's the trend that we're looking for on this defense, to be able to rebuild it, size and speed. And that's what we're going after. So Abdul Carter is another name that, to watch, that the Rebels are still highly recruiting along, like I said, with Jaron Willis at the linebacker position.
Yeah, okay. Let's switch gears a little bit. And who is a player that is under the radar to you that we need to be paying attention about, that nobody is actually talking about at all?
Well, he's one of the first kids I actually wrote about in the Rebel Rock. He's out of Texas, and we're making great strides in Texas. Offensively, we have a lot of connections with Joyner, with Levy, and so forth. So Texas has become now a big recruiting ground for us. And it's a kid he's another CB. He's a little bit smaller in size, 5'11", 176. Eric Hemphill out of Brenham. He's very under the radar. He's a dual sport athlete, plays track, and he's a football player. I think this kid, I watched him on film when I came across the film. I'm like, he has 3 offers, still has 3 offers. And I've watched his growth over the months and everything. And this is just a kid. He's just straight fast. People really don't understand how fast he is. And I think a lot of the times they focus on the fact of his size. He's got great ball handling skills and extreme technique. So this is one that, that I continue to push for because I think that at the CB position, I know that's a highly recruited spot for us. And, we were unfortunate enough not to land another state kid, Kamari Rogers committing to, you know, um, Miami. That was a big void that, we thought that we had a good handle on. Like I said,
And Leanne has gone away. I do want to say another thing that has come up potentially in. Let's see. I'm gonna bring this up real quick just so I can see. Another thing that's come up is she had a power outage. She's been going in and out with power. Currently out in Texas, but she's talking about air camp hill going on. Also, we got a commitment from 2 Texas kids. We did commit watch on Kyron Heath, the tight end. He has a little bit of Evan Ingram in him. He's a big guy, a little bit bigger than Evan when he got here, but he was another kid that showed off in camp and earned an offer. And you saw how that turned out there. And you look at his video, and the kid just makes plays. He's another example of a one-on-one winner. And then we have a transfer in. We did a portal watch on Jalen Knox, the slot receiver out of Missouri. He's got some academic work to do. He will not be eligible for the 2021 season, but I don't know if he has 1 year or 2 starting in 2022, but he does a lot of the things that Elijah Moore did. He's kind of a poor man's Elijah Moore. I told you that, we were going to have to try and build a Frankenstein's monster when it comes to Elijah Moore. This will be a way to do it. The Jalen Knox and the J.J. Henry together, they would do a lot of the same stuff. Quay Davis the same way as well. So it's something you can look at in depth coming on. So that's coming from the Mansfield, Texas. We're going to get out of here a little bit early. I mean, Leanne didn't make it to the end. She had a power outage. But those guys are big guys. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern is the commitment of Davison. I cannot say his last name. I'm sorry. I just do not want to try that and butcher it. Maybe we'll get Leon on next week to talk a little bit about that. So for Leanne, I'm Stephen Willis, and I hope everybody enjoyed this inaugural edition of the Rebel Walk Recruiting Show. Hotty toddy.